Revealed, how a billionaire's life-changing act transformed a humiliated bride's hidden worth. The air in Maplewood hung heavy with the scent of blooming lilacs and cherry blossoms, but Sarah's heart felt like a wilting flower. Just days before her wedding, her fiancé, Marcus, had vanished, leaving her standing alone at the altar. The townsfolk buzzed with gossip, whispers slipping between fences like errant wind. "Did you hear? The town's darling dumped right before the big day." Her once bright and lively spirit dimmed under their scrutiny. But Sarah wasn't ready to give up. On the outside, she was a florist, arranging blooms with delicate precision, but inside, sadness had curled around her heart like a thorny vine. She lost herself in the ritual of crafting floral wonders, each rose and daisy a desperate plea for redemption from the rumors haunting her every step. The sharp snips of scissors and the rustle of leaves became her solace, her way of reclaiming her identity lost in heartbreak. Then, fate stepped in, clad in a crisp suit and an air of mystery. Ethan, a billionaire with roots in Maplewood, returned to make a mark. Stumbling into her shop one afternoon, he was captivated not only by her floral talent but by the resilience shining from her eyes, even through the veil of sadness. "I'm hosting a charity gala," he mentioned casually, "and I'd love for you to design the floral arrangements." The invitation bloomed within her, a chance to break free from the town's judgment and reclaim her dignity. Yet doubt twisted in her stomach. Could she really fit into Ethan's affluent world? The juxtaposition of their lives pressed heavy on her humble florist shop and his world of luxury and expectation. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they worked together, laughter began to mend the cracks in Sarah's heart. She shared her dreams of opening a larger shop, of hosting workshops, of giving back to the community that had once cherished her. Ethan listened intently, impressed not just by her skill with flowers, but by her spirit and passion. But as the gala loomed closer, fears resurfaced. Town elites were preparing for judgment, and through every arrangement, the flickering light of hope clashed with the shadows of her past. On the night of the gala, she wore her heart like a badge. Walking into a room of glitz and glamour, the whispers of discontent danced around her like smoke. The tension rose, ready to erupt, her old wounds fresh in every judging eye. Just as she felt herself shrinking, Ethan stepped forward. "This woman," he declared, his voice ringing clear, "is a force of nature. She's faced challenges, yes, but her strength is a testament to who she truly is." Yet, even as his words echoed through the room, doubt crept back in. Would his declaration change the town's judgment or deepen the division? Sarah stood, trembling between her past and a fragile yet hopeful future. The crowd held its breath, waiting for acceptance, for healing, for her decision. In that poignant moment, Sarah wondered, could she find her worth again, or would the scars of heartbreak overshadow her journey moving forward? The gala's atmosphere turned electric, the air thick with expectation. Sarah's heart raced as she locked eyes with Ethan, his gaze steady and reassuring. He had given her a chance to shine, but the whispers felt like a chorus of taunts pulling her back into darkness. "You don't belong here," they seemed to say. With a deep breath, Sarah pushed forward. She needed to break the spell they cast over her. She was more than a story, she was resilient. Each floral arrangement she had crafted for tonight was a testament to her hard work, and they sparkled in the chandelier's glamour, the colors vivid against the backdrop of polished marble and silk. Stepping further into the room, she could hear the hushed conversation surrounding her. Not everyone was deriding her, some were curious. A small group of women stood near the stately entrance, exchanging glances that spoke of intrigue rather than disdain. Maybe this was the moment where she could turn the tide. Maybe she could reclaim her identity. She approached the reception area, feeling the gaze of Ethan's warm assurance at her back. how do you feel?" he whispered as he joined her. "I feel like I'm tipping over the edge of a cliff," she admitted, laughter bubbling in the face of her nerves. "Just remember why you're here. It's not just about them and what they think. This is your moment to shine," he encouraged, a gentle smile spreading across his face that illuminated her fears. In front of her, the long tables adorned with cascading floral centerpieces, fragrant blooms carefully selected by Sarah, stood proudly. She thought of all the late nights spent arranging and rearranging, each flower symbolizing a piece of herself she was reclaiming. This was her statement, a burst of life amidst the sterile luxury. As she began to circulate among the attendees, she was met with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. A group of familiar community figures eyed her carefully, their faces a blend of surprise and judgment. Could they actually see her? The old Sarah, the one who had gotten lost in their expectations, began to fade, replaced by a woman who was learning to stand tall. "Sarah, you did these? They're beautiful." A voice broke through her reverie. Janet, one of her childhood friends, stepped forward, genuine admiration brightening her features. Sarah hadn't expected this. The warmth flooding through her was a soothing balm against the chill of the whispers. "Thank you. I worked really hard on them," Sarah stammered, a flutter of nerves in her stomach. Ethan watched from a distance, pride swelling in his chest. He hadn't just seen a talented florist, he had seen a woman whose potential was infinite. Just then, a deep voice called for attention from the opposite end of the hall, silencing the growing chatter. "Ladies and gentlemen," came the familiar voice of the town's mayor, "tonight, we celebrate not just the charity, but also someone who embodies the spirit of resilience, Sarah Caldwell." The crowd turned as one, piqued curiosity sparking in the air. Sarah felt herself being pulled into the focus of the room, panic fluttered in her chest. What now? She thought, heart hammering. This was a crossroads. All eyes were on her, locks of judgment, interest, and skepticism morphed into one unifying force. Could she speak her truth? Could she unveil the worth hidden beneath her past? The spotlight loomed closer, every second stretching into eternity, and Sarah wrestled with that niggling doubt once more. Before she could ponder too long, she stepped forward. "Thank you for this honor," but just as the words found their way to her lips, a crash from behind caused every head to turn in alarm. The moment hung, caught between uncertainty and excitement, as Sarah glanced back nervously. What had just happened to shatter this fragile moment? The unexpected crash silenced the room, a collective gasp escaping the lips of socialites clad in silk and sequins. Sarah's heart raced, the weight of anticipation quickly shifting into confusion. What had just disrupted her moment? Her eyes darted to the source. A server had stumbled, causing a platter of hors d'oeuvres to tumble dramatically to the floor. Misplaced brusqueness shattered the elegance, delicate minuscule canapes splattered across the pristine marble. "Don't let that distract you," Ethan murmured, his voice steady, though uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Sarah forced herself to swallow the rising tide of panic. The gala's elegance hadn't vanished, it had merely shifted, adjusted to an unexpected, comical twist. With the room still buzzing from the brief chaos, Sarah seized the opportunity. "Maybe we could use some humor right about now," she thought, her mind racing for words to draw attention back to her. She took a deep breath. "Life is like this gala, unpredictable and messy," she declared, her voice slowly finding strength against the mounting tension. "But amidst the chaos, beauty can emerge." A few chuckles broke the silence, and she felt the crowd's energy shift slightly. They were leaning in, listening. Encouraged, she continued. "Just as these flowers bring life to a gathering, we all have moments when we rise above. I stand here today not just as a florist, but as a testament to resilience." As she spoke, Sarah's eyes caught Ethan's again. His confident nod fueled her bravery. The whispers that once threatened to consume her now felt distant. She was here to reclaim her story, and she could feel the room shifting beneath her. A small woman in the back spoke up, "Tell us more, Sarah." Was that Janet encouraging her again? Surely, she could almost see resolve in the faces surrounding her. Thank you. Sarah beamed, leaning into the crowd's curiosity. I never thought I deserved moments like these. I let the weight of expectations bury me. But tonight, with every petal of these flowers, I'm here to say we can redefine our paths. Suddenly, a low murmur began to ripple through the audience. Conversations resumed, and she could feel the tide turning. Just then she glimpsed a shadow at the edge of her vision. As she faltered in her speech, a figure stood amid the peripherals, the surprise of seeing him rooted Sarah's feet. It was Jack, an old acquaintance and one-time rival from her younger days, his expression unreadable. Sarah. He called, a hint of skepticism lacing his words. Is it true what I've heard? That you've become the florist everyone's talking about? The murmurs changed again, drifting back to whispers of doubt among the crowd. Did he intend to undermine her? Just when she thought she was gaining footing, the sensation of sinking pulled at her heart once more. Why does it matter what they think? Ethan's voice broke through her thoughts with fierce loyalty. Show them who you are. Displaying an unexpected motor of determination, Sarah took a step forward. It matters only if I let it. She insisted, the words spilling out like water breaking a dam. I'm here to tell you, to each one of you, how valuable your life can be, how beautiful you are, not by comparison, but by your own merit. We've all struggled in some form. Tonight, I choose to embrace my worth. But before she could finish, Jack stepped closer. And what about your past? That doesn't just disappear. His challenge cut through the newfound strength pooling in her, the doubts creeping back in. Sarah felt her heart in her throat, the light dimming as she wondered how many others still judged her. Could she stand tall against him? In that moment, she realized, the path forward lay not just in her words, but in the strength of his confrontation. She met his gaze, fighting every insecurity. No, it doesn't disappear. It's a piece of who I am. But I choose to define my story, not by my failures, but by my resilience, and I invite everyone here to do the same. The room buzzed with reactions, but the energy had shifted towards something palpable. Was this the acceptance she had sought, or merely the beginning of a deeper conflict? As the crowd's eyes ruminated over her words, a new wave of curiosity washed over her. What would they truly think? Uncertainty hung in the air thicker than before, and as she glimpsed Ethan's unwavering encouragement, she knew this was the moment that could propel her forward or send her reeling back into doubt. How would she solidify her place in this world after all? The tension crackled in the air like static. Sarah's heart raced, a mix of fear and determination fighting for dominance. Jack's eyes bore into her, compelling her to respond, yet an invisible wall pushed against her from all sides. She could hear a heartbeat, not just her own, but the collective thrum of the audience, waiting, watching, weighing every word. Ethan's gaze was anchored on hers, assurance radiating from him like warmth on a cold day. She took a breath, fumbling to maintain her composure. I believe our pasts shape us, yes, but they don't define us, she began, her voice gaining strength as she continued. We all have stories that could fill pages and also wounds we navigate every day. But what matters is how we rise from those experiences. It's all about resilience. Jack shifted, crossing his arms with an air of skepticism. Resilience? Or just excuses? You think playing the florist can erase everything else? He chuckled lightly, but the laughter felt sharp and belittling. The room tensed again, heads turning. Sarah could feel uncertainty seeping into her resolve. What if others agreed with Jack? What if they were right to look down on her? But as her eyes bounced across the crowd, she noticed faces reflecting back both empathy and curiosity. Her heart steadied. She wouldn't let his taunts drown her. Excuses are excuses only if we let them be. And I'm standing here now, proudly sharing my journey as a florist, turning my visions into arrangements that bring joy and connection, she said, her voice like a bowstring tightening. I took every chance to build this life. And that's what truly counts. The murmurs picked up again. This time, they sounded softer, more like agreement than judgment. Sarah's confidence surged, and she continued. I invite you all to celebrate not chipping away at past failures, but embracing the growth that stems from them. Everyone deserves to bloom in their own time. Bloom? You mean to pretend everything is perfect? Jack shot back, his tone challenging. What is so special about your so-called growth if it's built on illusion? His words stung. The laughter hung in the air like an unwelcome guest. But Sarah felt something spark inside a fire she hadn't realized had been lit. It's not an illusion. It's a response to every challenge I've faced. She paused, willing herself to push through the discomfort. Every setback I've endured has taught me something profound. It made me realize that my worth wasn't dependent on others' validation or my past mistakes. At that moment, power surged through her. Was this the moment she had been building towards? As Jack's smirk faltered, she pressed forward. The truth is, we live in a world that thrives on comparison and negativity. Tonight, I'm saying enough. Let us talk about celebrating each other, not tearing each other down. A ripple of applause fluttered across the room, tentative at first, but quickly growing in strength and enthusiasm. It was as if a dam had burst. People were cheering, nodding, connecting with her words, with her fire, but then, she saw it again. Jack's eyes narrowing, disbelief lingering in the corner of his mouth. He stepped forward once more, determination etched across his face. So, this is your big comeback? Throwing flowers and fake smiles. What happens next? Next? She caught her breath, suddenly aware of a world expanding around her, filled with questions and potential. Next, I hope to inspire others to embrace their journeys. Show them they are worthy of happiness, regardless of where they come from. The room now seemed like a bustling garden, each spectator a unique bloom, reacting to her words. Yet, Jack's presence still loomed heavy. Isn't it easier to be fake than face the truth? He queried, a challenge rather than a question. Before she could respond, a woman from the audience, an unfamiliar face, piped up. Maybe it's about facing that truth together. Could this moment be more than just about her? A knot of hope twisted within her, igniting an even deeper sense of purpose. What if this was the turning point for many others? She wanted to dig deeper, but as the energy swirled around her, filling the space with whispers, she caught her breath. How would she transform this energy into something lasting, something real? Suddenly, she felt a deep inner shift, the resolve to confront not just Jack, but her own fears and doubts head-on. It wasn't just about her and her past, it was about sparking a movement. With that thought igniting her spirit, she cast one determined glance around the room, steadied herself, and prepared for what might be her greatest challenge yet, what awaited her in pursuing a life of authenticity. And how far was she willing to go to achieve it? The energy in the room felt like a living thing, pulsing with the reality of what Sarah was about to embark upon. She could see the yearning in the faces around her, a desire for connection, for honesty in a world that often felt devoid of it. She inhaled deeply, letting the vibrant energy fill her lungs, ready to speak her truth. Jack, she said, her voice steadier now, it's not about being perfect. It's about being real. We all wear masks sometimes, but wouldn't it be so much better if we could take them off? To show our true selves, flaws and all. She looked straight at him, no longer afraid. Hiding doesn't protect us, it chains us. A ripple surged through the crowd, eyes widening and nods of agreement scattered throughout. Sarah's heart jumped. This wasn't just her moment, it was a collective awakening. Yet, Jack lingered. His skepticism seemed to harden, more like a battle cry than an invitation for conversation. Taking off our masks. Strong words. Jack scoffed, voice dripping with sarcasm. But what happens when the world sees the truth behind those masks? What if it's uglier than we think? I'd rather face the dark than continue pretending I'm shining in the light, she returned, a fire in her belly. We can choose to support each other in this journey. The world may be tough, but we can make it softer together. The murmurs from the audience shifted, curiosity replaced doubt. Voices rose in the room, encouraging words, affirmations. It was a wave building, crashing stronger and stronger. Sarah knew this was her chance to drive the point home. Look around. She gestured, arms sweeping the audience. Every one of us has scars, and you know what? They shape our beauty. These stories of pain and recovery are what we should be celebrating. Her heart raced, fueled by the passion ignited within. Imagine if we shifted the narrative. Let us show that our struggles are not weaknesses, but the very roots of our strength. Together, we can rise. Is that really how it works? Jack countered, his voice noticeably softer now, almost unsure. You think people want to be reminded of their struggles? Absolutely. Sarah exclaimed, her voice lifting like petals on a breeze. Because if we don't talk about our struggles, we'll never find the light. We've got to be vulnerable. Don't you see? Vulnerability is powerful. It connects us. Suddenly, an older gentleman in the back stood up, hands shaking as he clutched the back of his chair. You're right, dear. My wife passed last year. I haven't shared my grief with anyone. I just bottled it up. His voice cracked and the room hushed, every eye now on him. But I'm tired of hiding. I want to share my journey. With that simple admission, the walls that had been closing in began to crumble. Sarah's heart soared. She felt each person in the room opening up, like a garden bursting to life after a long winter. Others were standing, sharing their own pains and victories, and suddenly this gathering wasn't about judgment, it was about acceptance. See? She said back to Jack, her voice now a soft yet powerful whisper. When we embrace our truths, we lift each other up. We might not erase the past, but we can illuminate the path ahead. Jack took a step back, uncertainty playing across his features. She didn't want to break him, she wanted to inspire him. I'm not asking you to agree with me, she said gently, just think about what your truth could be. What can we learn from each other? A silence hung thick in the room, as Jack's defenses lowered, the spark of possibility flickering in his eyes. But just as hope surged anew, a loud crash echoed from the side of the stage. An assistant, flustered and pale, rushed towards Sarah. Sarah, there's been a situation backstage, it might affect everything. She turned to face the audience, adrenaline flooding in. The warmth of their connection met the cold urgency in the assistant's voice, creating a whirlwind of emotions. What could possibly be happening? As murmurs and questions swirled, uncertainty crept back in, intertwining with the hope. What truth could be lurking in the shadows, threatening this very moment of revelation? Sarah's pulse quickened as she felt the weight of the room's attention shift. Her gaze darted to the assistant, whose ashen face spoke volumes. The buzz of uncertain chatter began to crescendo, drowning out her thoughts. What had gone wrong? What could threaten the birth of this newfound connection? Wait, everyone. She raised her hand, her voice steadying despite the mounting tension. Just a moment. Let us take a breath. We've just uncovered something beautiful here. Whatever this is, we can handle it. But the assistant, eyes wide and panicked, edged closer, holding a phone in her trembling hands. Sarah, it's about the shelter. There's been a major incident, you need to see this. Time slowed as she stepped away from the microphone. The warmth of shared stories evaporated, replaced by a chill of confusion and fear. What could possibly disrupt this moment of honesty and healing? Stay here. I'll be right back. She called over her shoulder, confidence bubbling up alongside the fear. She believed in their gathering. She had to. She followed the assistant backstage, her heart thundering with every step. The air felt thick with anxiety, each footfall echoing in her ears. The vibrant discussions from the audience turned into muffled sounds, fading into the background. All that mattered was what lay beyond those doors. As they reached the small room crowded with staff, the atmosphere hit her like a punch. Phones flashed with alarming messages. The assistant handed her the phone, a social media post lighting up the screen in front of her. Her stomach dropped. It showed a video captured moments before, the back of the shelter, her shelter emitting clouds of smoke, firefighters busy extinguishing flames. The caption read, "Another failure in the system? Are shelters really taking care of those in need? Is anyone hurt?" She gasped, scrolling through comments that ranged from compassion to harsh criticism. The assistant shook her head, relief mingling with urgency in her eyes. "No injuries reported, but it's likely to escalate. We need help and quick." Backstage, reality crashed into her. They had been on the verge of a breakthrough, yet everything now felt at risk. A sense of urgency replaced the camaraderie she had just felt. It was suffocating. "Sarah, we need a plan," the assistant insisted, her voice cutting through the frantic noise in Sarah's mind. Taking a deep breath, Sarah felt the stir of determination rise within her. "Get the team together. We'll need volunteers. Call every contact you have. This isn't just about us anymore," she declared, her voice ringing with strength. "We can't let this set us back." Back in the auditorium, the atmosphere shifted to one of confusion. People shifted in their seats, whispering, glancing toward the stage. "We're on the brink of something bigger than ourselves," Sarah thought, the weight of leadership resting on her shoulders. Where there was disruption, there was also an opportunity to galvanize the very support she had called on just moments earlier. As she re-entered the room, eyes widened and hope flickered amid uncertainty. "Everyone!" she shouted, a surge of adrenaline pushing her forward. "There's been an emergency at the shelter, but we're not going to let this moment slip away. We're going to turn our energy into action." The room erupted, voices blending into a cacophony of questions and suggestions, momentum building like a tidal wave. Jack's eyes met hers from across the crowd. Something had shifted there, a recognition. Then, amid the chaos, an unexpected voice called out, "What can we do to help?" Something deep inside Sarah ignited. This wasn't just a call to arms, it was an awakening. As she began to outline a plan for action, she felt their collective heartbeat synchronize again. But just as she gained the floor, a new figure emerged from the shadows, a face she didn't recognize, lips pressed tightly, carrying an air of dread. "Sarah, you need to come with me. There's more. We need to discuss something that changes everything." What could possibly lay ahead, ready to shake the foundation she had just fought so hard to build? Sarah's heart raced as she took a step back, the weight of the new figure's words wrapping around her like a vice grip. The murmuring crowd faded into the background, her focus narrowing on the stranger's face, which looks both urgent and pleading. "Who are you?" she managed to ask, her voice steady despite the thunderous heartbeat in her chest. "Martin Gray," he replied, glancing around as if wary of being overheard. "I'm the new operations director at the shelter." "Where's Eric?" she questioned, her mind racing through possibilities. Eric had been the glue holding everything together. Let's just say he's occupied. Martin's eyes darted back to the chaos on stage, a hint of regret passing over his features. "There's news you need to hear about the fire, and it's urgent." The assistant stepped up, concern etched across her face. "Sarah, we can't delay. Every moment matters. If the media catches wind of this without a plan, it'll spiral out of control." "Right," she nodded, swallowing her rising anxiety. Still, something about Martin's presence felt off, like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. "Let's talk quickly." He led her to a quieter backstage area, his voice low. "I'm afraid it's more than just the fire. There's a report making its way through the local news. They're alleging misconduct, saying we've failed those we serve." "What?" The accusation struck like lightning. "That's false. We've been working our tails off to give these people a lifeline." "I know," Martin continued, pain flickering in his expression. But it doesn't matter what you or I know. Perception is reality, and right now, they're framing it as if we're failing them. If we don't act fast. He let the implication hang heavy, and Sarah felt the ground shift beneath her. This wasn't just a fire, it was a full-blown crisis. What should we do? She asked, urgency seeping into her voice. Leverage the gathering, he offered, eyes holding hers with a fierce intensity. Shift the narrative. Use the energy in that room. Show the community that you're not just concerned but ready to lead. We need testimonials, stories of real impact, and we need them now. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to center herself. They're already mobilizing. We can do this. We can turn their fear into action. If we present a united front, the media won't have a choice but to listen. Exactly, Martin agreed, the hint of a smile breaking through his tension. But you need to keep the reins on this. It's going to get messy. With a firm nod, Sarah turned and walked back towards the auditorium, adrenaline sharpening her focus. She spotted Jack again, his look mirrored a burning determination she felt in her core. Everyone. She called out, raising her arms to capture their attention. There is something we need to do, and we need everyone involved. There is no time to waste. The audience quieted, their eyes locking onto her, anticipation buzzing in the air. It's time to get moving. We have a community to support, a fire to fight both literally and figuratively. But the world is watching us now, and we need to show them who we are. Let us channel this energy into real action. We need volunteers, stories, and above all, heart. A wave of enthusiasm rippled through the crowd, people raising their hands, shouting suggestions, and already mobilizing to gather resources. It felt electrifying. Yet amidst the chaos, an unsettling feeling tucked itself at the back of her mind. What if the fire wasn't the only thing threatening to consume them? What if the accusations found a way to seep through the cracks in their efforts? Just as they began to organize, an authoritative voice boomed from the entrance. Everyone be quiet. We need to talk about what is happening. Heads turned. Everyone froze. Sarah's heart sank at the sight of news crews flooding in, cameras ready to roll. What do they want now? She whispered, anxiety creeping back in, inching toward dread. The moment hung heavy, an ominous precursor to what could unfold. What would happen when the cameras started rolling? Would they shatter their momentum, or could they turn this into an opportunity too? The crowd's murmurs transformed into an electric buzz, tension palpable in the air as the news crews set up their equipment. Sarah felt a knot forming in her stomach, the kind that twisted tighter with each flash of camera lights and shuffling feet. This was not the moment she had envisioned. What are we going to do? Jack murmured beside her, his brow furrowed. Sarah met his gaze, finding it filled with equal parts worry and determination. We stay focused. We have to show the community that we're in this together. Right. But we need a game plan, Jack responded, glancing at the reporters who were now lining up, preparing to capture every word and every gesture. Before Sarah could answer, Martin stepped up behind her. We need to give them something powerful. A message that drowns the accusations. Exactly, Sarah said, her mind racing. We need to highlight our work. Show them the lives we've touched, the stories that matter. Martin nodded, his earlier tension ebbing slightly. Then let us get some of the people who have benefited from the shelter to speak. Their voices can't be ignored. Yes. Start gathering people now, Sarah urged the crowd, feeling the urgency swell within her. Let us hear from them. Their success stories can become our shield against this attack. She looked out over the audience, feeling the weight of their eyes bore into her. But we need it quickly. Can you gather volunteers? Hands began to shoot up like wildfire. Sarah could feel the energy building again, hope mingling with concern. Suddenly, a voice cut through the noise. Excuse me, Sarah. A woman stepped forward from the throng, her features anxious yet burning with resolve. "I'm one of the clients. I have a story to share, one that could help." "Fantastic!" Sarah exclaimed, her spirits lifting. "We need to hear from you. Everyone needs to know what we're doing right." Just then, the lead reporter, a sharp-looking woman with a notepad and a microphone, approached. "Sarah, will you comment on the allegations? How does this fire affect the shelter's ability to serve?" The question hit like a punch. Suddenly, everyone was looking at her, waiting for a response. Sarah felt as though every eye and every camera was a spotlight, exposing every crack in her confidence. "Right now, all I can say is that our focus is on the community," she began, forcing her voice to remain level. "We're coming together to support those affected by the fire. In this moment of crisis, we're choosing unity, compassion, and action." The woman raised an eyebrow. "But what about the claim of misconduct? Can you address that?" Before Sarah could respond, the woman continued, "There are residents claiming they haven't received adequate help. How do you respond to that?" The collective murmurs grew louder. Doubt threatened to lurk in Sarah's mind, but she squared her shoulders and pressed on. "These allegations are unfounded. Our volunteers and staff work tirelessly to provide support to everyone who walks through our doors. We invite the community to hear from those we serve. They are the proof of our dedication." A small cheer arose from the audience behind her. The fire within them rekindled, enthusiasm surged again. But Sarah could see the reporter, her expression skeptical and ready to pounce. As people began to share their stories one by one, a cathartic energy filled the room. While some spoke of their challenges, others celebrated their triumphs, their voices interwoven like a tapestry of resilience. Sarah felt each testimony lift her spirit, a reminder of their true purpose. What she didn't expect was a shadow behind the excitement. A man at the back of the room, his arms crossed, was staring at her intently. There was a familiarity about him that sent unease skittering down her spine. Who was he, and what did he want? As she spoke again, the words began to form but then caught in her throat. She steadied herself, searching the swirling crowd for any sign of hope. Little did she know, her past was about to collide with her present in a way she never anticipated, and just as her heart sank, the man took a step forward, a look of determination on his face. "I'm here to set things straight," he said, his voice cutting through the chaos. What was he about to reveal? Would it help them or tear everything apart? The air thickened with silence as everyone turned to face the man, his presence commanding attention. He was tall, with sharp features and glasses perched on his nose that gleamed in the bright lights. Sarah recognized that look, a mix of resolve and vulnerability, yet matched with a hint of something more unsettling. "Who are you?" Jack asked, his voice steady but low, clearly sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "I'm Lucas," the man replied, his gaze laser-focused on Sarah. "And I know what really happened." The crowd buzzed anew, whispers curving through the assembly like a wave. Sarah's heart raced, clashing with the wave of curiosity that flowed around her. "What do you mean? What really happened?" Lucas took a breath, grounding himself. "I used to be one of the shelter's clients before I got back on my feet. I came here today because of the allegations. I'm living proof that your organization changes lives, but there's more." "What do you mean, there's more?" Sarah pressed, a knot twisting again in her stomach, afraid of what was coming next while simultaneously desperate to hear what he had to say. "The fire wasn't an accident. I can help clear your name," Lucas said, taking a few steps closer, eyes darting around the room, gauging reactions. His tone shifted, gaining energy. "I have evidence. I saw something that night that could shift the entire narrative. But I need you to trust me." The crowd tensed, fear battling hope as they absorbed his words. Sarah looked at Jack, her partner in this journey. His expression mirrored her mix of intrigue and fear. "What kind of evidence?" Jack demanded, edging closer to Lucas. "Cameras. I know where the footage is, and I have contacts that can get us access. It shows the truth about that fire, Lucas explained, urgency lacing his voice. But this one be simple. Whatever you thought was true about your reputation, it's going to change. Change how? Sarah interjected, her anxiety spiking. What are you saying? It might incriminate some people, but it's the community's chance to see the reality and to ultimately stand behind you, he replied, the intensity of his gaze piercing through Sarah's fear. Suddenly, a voice called out from within the audience, breaking through the tension. We can't trust him. How do we know he is not here to make it worse? Other murmurs of skepticism began to beep among the crowd, doubts rising again, but Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, piecing together the weight of this moment. Lucas, she started, her voice hoarse, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on her. You're saying you want to help us, but how do we know you're not lying? Because I've been where you are. I've faced your challenges. I know the heart behind this shelter, and I want to protect it, Lucas replied earnestly. But you have to believe in me enough to follow through. The tension reached a boiling point, the room caught between fear and hope. Sarah felt the uneasy knot loosening but still showed caution. She looked into the faces of the gathered, searching for validation from within her own heart. The stories that had been shared weren't just testimonies, they were lives changed, lives that mattered. I will need time, Sarah said finally, her voice breaking through the roiling emotions. But if there is even a hint of truth in what you're saying, we owe it to everyone here to find out. The crowd collectively sighed, the tension shifting into something more hopeful and uncertain all at once. Lucas nodded, a glimmer of encouragement lighting his features, but just as they began to discuss what steps to take next, a loud crash interrupted them. A panel from the stage behind them fell with a clatter, snapping the group's attention. Someone had stumbled, and gasps echoed in the room. Is everyone okay? Sarah's voice cut out, adrenaline surging anew. She peered into the chaos, her heart racing once more. What else could go wrong? What other hurdles awaited them as they dared to confront their truths? Would they embrace the message or crumble beneath the pressure? The stakes had never felt so high, and amidst the rising dust, uncertainty blanketed the crowd once more. In that chaotic moment, with the crash echoing around her, Sarah felt her heart racing. Could this night get any more hectic? People rushed to help the fallen panel, and curiosity spread across the room like a wildfire. Yet she couldn't be distracted. They were at a turning point, and she had to seize it. Everyone! Sarah shouted, trying to regain control of the gathering. We're not just here to react, we're here to stand united. Her voice rang out over the rising chatter, and slowly, the crowd quieted down. The faces looking back at her were a mix of fear and determination. As the clamor died, she could see Jack nodding and Lucas testing the waters with the crowd. Their energy surged together, a collective pulse thrumming with purpose. Let us take a moment and decide what we really want to come out of tonight, she urged. We have a chance to redefine who we are, both as a community and as individuals. The crowd held its breath, the air thick with anticipation. This has been a journey for all of us, a journey of healing. The world may reflect our past mistakes, but here, right now, we are writing a different story. Then she caught sight of a woman toward the back, one of her past acquaintances, someone she had once feared. The worry in her eyes began to soften, replaced by hope. Sarah smiled, feeling strength swell in her chest. If she could inspire just one person, maybe they could light the way for so many others. Let us share our stories, our truths, she suggested, her voice filled with conviction. And we aren't afraid to face the hard conversations. We've done the work, and our efforts should shine brighter than any of the shadows lingering around us. The crowd began to murmur in agreement, understanding dawning in their eyes. They had all come to this place looking for healing, not only for themselves but for their community. As Lucas stepped forward, a shared determination filled the air. I'm ready to speak about how the shelter has changed my life. I want people to understand that support isn't just a service, but a lifeline. With those words, the gates opened. One by one, they stood up, voices sharing heartfelt testimonies, raw and real. The tones shifted from anxious whispers to heartfelt affirmations as their shared past turned into a powerful melody of hope. Each story echoed the journey they had taken together, demonstrating resilience amid challenges. Sarah felt her heart fill with pride as the voices rose, the crowd connected like never before. They became a network of strength support woven from pain, laughter, and growth, yet, even amidst this overwhelming sense of community, doubt flickered at the edges of Sarah's mind. Would this be enough? Would the testimonies from her peers hold weight against the outside world? "We're not done yet," she said, riding the wave of momentum. "We need to take this beyond these walls. We're not just a charity, we are a family, a force that can spark change in this town. Let us gather our stories, and I, with all of you beside me, will make sure they are heard." The crowd erupted into applause. It felt electric, swirling with a sense of possibility. Sarah saw Jack's eyes light up with admiration, and for the first time that night, she felt whole. She was finally becoming who she was meant to be, embracing the messy reality of her life, inviting others to do the same. Let us gather our resources and get the press involved. Show this town what it means to stand together. Sarah shouted, her resolve echoing in the hearts of the audience. At that moment, the door swung wide, flooded with the brilliant light of the outside world. Martin jumped up, eyes gleaming. "We're ready to take the next steps to transform this crisis into our strongest rallying cry." And just like that, a truce formed in the air. Perception began to shift. Together, bride and shelter, townsfolk and strangers, all converged into one united front. Some tears fell. Others laughed. Hopes blossomed anew. As they rallied, Sarah felt the warmth of what they were creating together. She was no longer just a florist or a leftover bride. She was a beacon of strength within her community. The rest of the night transformed into a series of collaborative efforts. Clips were recorded, stories gathered. The gathering morphed from adversity to action, filled with heart. As the cameras clicked and the stories poured out, Sarah knew they were capturing not just moments but building a movement, a promise to define their futures together. With spirits high, they were ready to face whatever came next. The struggles, the fire, and the doubts coalesced into an inspiring force that would change everything. And as Sarah looked around at the faces, her heart soared. She had finally embraced her worth. She smiled through the tears, seeing hope alive again in Maplewood. They had transformed not only their own stories but their community, stepping together into a future bursting with flowers, and they would do it together. Now, more than ever, they understood, the beauty was not in perfection but in their shared journey, and they were ready to uplift one another. In a final act of unity, Sarah stepped toward the mic as the last flickers of daylight poured in through the open doors, inviting a new dawn. Let us embrace our stories and the beauty of each. Who is with me? The cheers roared louder than ever, an anthem echoing for the world to hear. So take this lesson with you: every setback can bloom into opportunity, and you don't have to go through it alone. Find your voice, fill the world with your story, and celebrate resilience. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss out on more inspiring stories that uplift and transform. Hit that like button immediately to feed the algorithm and help us spread this message to others who need it. Comment below and share your thoughts on this incredible journey. Let us know how you felt through Sarah's transformation. And finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us create a ripple effect of inspiration together. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the hope.